All right, so let's fight the last demon, which is this shape, a little bit close to a car without wheels. Let's just see how this one can be unfolded. Let's just create the UVs for that. Before I start UVing this, I thought I should mention this, that when we talk about the UVs should not overlap, it is different when you select like two objects. Like if I hold down Shift and select these two objects, the UVs are going to overlap, but it's not going to be an issue because I'm not going to use the same map for both of these objects. Okay, so I'm just going to use this map for this object, and then for this one, I'm just going to use its own map, right? So although if you select a couple of objects, their UVs are going to overlap, it's fine if because they are separate objects, okay? Just wanted to mention that. All right, so let's start with this one and see how we can unwrap this. Unwrap it? Well, actually, let's just see, rewind. Let's just see how we can create UVs for that. All right, so for this one, like you see that the starting point is a crap. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna start over by just doing a projection to just get rid of the UVs and at the same time create a good starting point for ourselves. So I'm just gonna look for a good angle with the camera that I kind of see a little bit of everything. And then selecting the object, I'm going to go to the UV toolkit, and I'm just going to close up these other tabs that I don't want, the drop-down menus, and selecting the object, I'm going to do a camera-based projection, and voila, the shape is formed. We have a UV to start with, okay? All right, so let's see how we can make some cuts and unwrap this shape. So looking at this, I see like there's this nasty part at the bottom. We have like this top part that we definitely need to separate. Also these parts, we need to make some good cuts so that they can be unwrapped. Let's just think of this process like one step at a time, and let's make the big cuts first. Okay, so I know that I should separate the top from the bottom. It just yells at me that I need to do that. So let's just do that first. Or does it yell? Does it yell separating the top from the bottom? Again, at this point, maybe you need to think about what kind of texture you want to create for this object. So what I'm thinking is that, let's just take a look. Yeah, maybe for this one, I'm not going to put anything that is, I don't know, like all over this surface, and then maybe I can separate the top from the bottom and have a seam right there. But if I want to attach, if I want to assign a texture to this that I'm just going to have some intricate designs for this part, maybe I don't want to put the seam in there. So it all depends what you want to do. Maybe just let's go with the not so much obvious pattern, okay? Let's just not separate the top from the bottom, but also maybe separate these two sides. Okay, let's just do that. So I will select those edges. And there's this handy tool that I really liked. It was in the tutorial that I assigned you to watch. And it was under select and contiguous. I think I'm pronouncing this correctly. Let's hope that's the case. Contiguous edges. Okay, so I can maybe, let's see if I double click, what's going to happen. So, well, not you, but you. Well, it's not that smart, but okay, not too bad. Yeah, accept what you're doing. It wasn't that helpful. Okay, maybe if we have more edges, we can use that tool. All right, but let's just separate these two sides. All right, so now I've selected those edges, and I'm going to make the cut. And then I will separate those shells that I created. One would be this one. The other one would be this one. Okay, separated. And I can see that these shells are flat, so I don't need to make any more cuts. All right. And then let's see, what are the other cuts that we can make? We can actually maybe just keep, yeah, let's just do it the fun way. Maybe we can separate kind of this whole section, like all the way down here, right? If I make only these two cuts, that then this part is going to be completely free, and then I can go in and cut this part, and then I'm going to be done with the top part. How about that? Of course, you can make other cuts, so you don't have to necessarily make these cuts, but you should have a decent number of shells and make sure that the seams are hidden in a correct spot. Like with this one, you can see that my seams are hidden, not so much hidden, but they are at the place where the geometry is showing like that it has some crease and it's like in an angle. Okay, so I think I'm good with the cuts that I made. I'm pretty happy with them. Okay, all right. So I selected these two edges and down here the two edges, and then I'm going to cut those, and just like that I'm going to separate this shell. Voila. All right. Let's just leave it at that. And then let's just go to the bottom. You can see that the bottom is now like its own separate shell now because I already made those cuts. But here's the thing, if I want to wrap a texture correctly to this part, I also need to make some cuts down there. So again, I'm going to go to edge mode, and maybe I want to, there are multiple ways that you can unwrap that. Let's just do it the easy way for this one. Okay, let's just select all those edges and actually cut the UV and separate that shell. Okay, and then let's just treat that as if it's a box. How would you unwrap a box? Like you get an Amazon box and you want to make it flat. Well, one way would be to just cut these four corners, okay, and then you can lay it flat. Let's just do the same thing with this one. Just gonna go to edge, make those four cuts. And you know what? Maybe not make the cuts, and let's see how it looks like if you unfold that so that you know what is the wrong way of doing this. So let's just select the shell, unfold. Okay, so it is unfolded, but you see that the texture, the checker map is not showing up correctly. You see there's like a stretching, a skewing, and all over the place, right? So you're gonna know like, oh, maybe I should have made like those cuts. So you can either go back and make like select these faces and project again, or if you target the edges that you were supposed to cut, you can actually cut it when the shell is unfolded. It's fine. So cut. Now let's just go to the UV shell and unfold. Nice and beautiful, right? It's like a box, but now it's open. It's a little bit rotated, but that's fine. The UV layout step is going to take care of that. All right. So here, let's see what we did with this part. Let's just unfold that, and you're going to see that you think it's a nice unwrap, but it's not the best thing, like especially if you look at these parts, it's getting all the way like smooshed up, and like this part is a little bit skewing is happening. I mean, like this part is acceptable, but maybe if you make some cuts and treat this part as a box also, it would definitely help with unwrapping it correctly, even for these parts. And it again, it all depends if you're 3D modeling something and you're planning on texturing it, and you're not doing like anything crazy like with the textures in here, it's just going to show a solid color. Maybe you just leave that, okay? But just for the purpose of learning how to do things correctly, let's say that you actually needed to apply some intricate textures with some design on it to this part of the geometry, you need to fix the UVs for that, okay? So with this one, what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to cut all the way all the edges down here, okay? And then I'm gonna cut those. And let me just turn on my keyboard application also. I totally forgot to turn that on. Okay, there we go, here it is. All right, so select those edges and cut, Okay, once I cut them, I can go to my UV shell and I can separate this part. All right. I still need to make more cuts to that. I still didn't address that part, so I'm just gonna make some cuts to these four edges down there. Cut, and then I will go to my UV shell and unfold this. Unfold, ta-da! Wow, it's getting worse. Why are you doing this? Unfold? Huh, it's funny. Oh, I know what's happening. So it doesn't have a space to lay the UVs nice so that they don't overlap. So that's why it does this. Let me try one more thing. So I'm just going to go to the options for the unfold and do a legacy unfold. Sometimes this works better than the 3D. Ah, not at all. Okay, so I'm glad these problems are happening because this is definitely something that you might want to run into. And I want you to not freak out when this happens, when, for one thing, I can always sew those cuts back together and maybe make a better cut. Let's just do that. I will go to my edge mode and I will go to my sew tool, making sure that the range is not crazy, and then sew it back together, just like that, okay? Um, and you know what? I also would like to sew this back over there. So I'm just gonna go to my cue to getting out of the sew tool, and then I will place this where it was. I don't need to like match it perfectly because I'm just gonna unfold everything again, all right? And I'm just gonna scale it down so I can place it right there. Let's also go to the edge mode to make sure that those edges match. Yes, they match, so they should be adjacent so you can sew them together, okay? And then I will go to my sew tool, sew them back, nice and sweet, just like that, okay? And this time, let's just make a better cut. So at this point, I think if I cut these edges, okay, and then make those cuts, it will unwrap nice and sweet the way that I cut this part, okay? So let's just try it this way. So I'm going to make those cuts, selected the edges, and maybe just, everything dim down a little bit, okay? Um, cut. All right, go to the UV shell, move this part away. Let's just first unfold this part. I'm assuming it's going to unfold correctly. Fingers crossed. Yes, nice and sweet. Look at that beautiful thing. Just to see how we're doing, we can just rotate it so that it is straight. Just shake the checker pattern. It all looks nice and sweet. And then we're going to come to this one. And remember, this is like a box, right? So I'm just going to make some cuts to this. If at any point you're confused about the shape that you're seeing right there, you can go one step back from the cut and sew and just do another projection, right? Don't worry about projecting one more time. So I selected the shell. Let's this time do this. I will go with, you can either go with the planar and just figure out, oh, this is like better in the Z direction. But I'm just going to go with a camera-based one. Camera-based, all right? So it's all there now. And then I will make those cuts. Edge, 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 and this edge. And I will cut them. I will select the shell and drum roll, please. Unfold. Okay, nice and sweet. Look at that beautiful straight texture. All right, just like that. All right, so what else is left there to do? So we need to unfold everything else also. So did we unfold this one? I guess we did, or maybe we didn't. Let's just do unfold one more time. There's no harm in doing that. Unfold, it was unfolded. this unfold and unfold. All right, so everything is unfolded. I'm just going to select everything, all the shells, and I will click on the layout, making sure that my options are correct based on the document. And voila, nice and clean and sweet and proportionally correct. Okay, so everything is a little bit smushed together. So what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to scale everything together down just a little bit. And if this is something, for example, you're thinking about putting the same texture on the two sides of the car, and you see that it is a symmetrical shape, you can stack similar UVs on top of each other by clicking on this icon, stack similar. Aren't they similar? Why don't you recognize that it is similar? Oh, okay, I see. They look similar to me. Didn't we unfold them? Let's just unfold them one more time. Unfold. Stack similar. Nope. Do you need us to maybe guide you? Oh, I see why. Okay. So these two shells, you see, like we have this one and then we have this one. They're kind of mirroring each other. So they're not similar. Okay. All right. So that's why it cannot stack them on top of each other. Is there a way to mirror UVs? Let me see. All right, so I couldn't find a mirroring option, but I think it's an easy thing to take care of. So I already have these two UVs, right? So I think if let's see, if I do one more project of the UVs, maybe from this side, I think I can have them not mirror each other. How about that? Let's do a planar projection. So I can see that if I project down the x-axis, they're going to be like laid flat. So let me just do that. It might not work, but let's see. Planar. Oh, which plane was it? Undo. Go to the option, shift click the planar. It should be down the x-axis. Insert projection before blah blah bounding box. Okay, apply. All right. Close and unfold. All right. Let's see. Are you two? Okay, nope. Still no. Think that's an issue, like because it's in the x-axis and they are not like the same. They are mirroring each other. You know what? We can live with that. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. We can maybe go in if you're very like persistent about having those two UVs to be stacked. We can do it manually by moving the UVs, but I'm not crazy over having them stacked on top of each other. There might be a way to do that, but I just need to do more research about this. If you found a way to stack these two on top of each other, let me know and you will win the prize. Um, I'm kidding, there are going to be no prizes, but I will be more than happy to see you researching into that and figuring out how to mirror actually a UV shell. Okay. All right, it might be actually just right there and I'm not seeing that. That's fine. I'm not gonna spend more time on it. It's okay. So I will select everything and I need to do UVing one more time because I just projected this two faces again. So I will do layout, nice and sweet and beautiful. Select all of them, scale them just a little bit down so that it is within the 0 and 1 space of the 0 and 1 unit of the UV space. And here you can actually think about ways you can lay it nice and beautifully, like down here. This is for here, so I'm just going to place it next to that, and then maybe this one. Let's see if I can fit that in there. Beautiful. Do I want to rotate you? Yes, I want to rotate you. Just like that, and then you come down here, okay? Da, da, da. Nice and sweet. At this one, I'm just eyeballing to see if it is. Ah, ah. All right. Beautiful. Okay, and save. Nice. Done. So we created UVs for all these four objects. Awesome. That's great. Okay. I hope you had fun.